happy to be here today to speak with you about finance opportunities for food entrepreneurs. We took the liberty of taking a different approach to this topic because you are food entrepreneurs and we understand the business that some days revenues are up and some days they are lower. And so we didn't want to come in and just speak about opportunities for debt only. We decided to take a different approach, and we're going to talk about government contracting and also accounts receivable financing to help you scale your businesses. So with that being said, I would like to introduce our first panelist, who is William Parker. William Parker is a procurement counselor with the Atlanta office of Georgia Tech's Apex Accelerator Program, managed under the U.S. Department of Defense Office of Small Business Programs, and part of an ecosystem with the Enterprise Innovation Institute here at Georgia Tech. He has been with the program since 2023, so he's a newbie, serving businesses that possess the potential to perform work as a government contractor in the defense and government procurement practices, requirements, regulations, policies, and marketing to the government in the form of training, coaching, mentoring, and one-on-one counseling. William has served as a procurement professional in government and continues to pursue professional education in government acquisition and contracting. He has worked for the City of Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson, State of Georgia, the Road and Transit Authority, City of Smyrna, and he holds a bachelor's and MBA along with multiple economic development certificates. Please welcome William Parker.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciated this opportunity today. I'm so happy to see everyone. Entrepreneurs, you know, they keep my blood flowing because it's not an easy job. But you guys, you know, are the heroes that we need to keep the innovation going, the problem solving, and the solutions to be found. So I'm going to introduce you today to government contracting. I'm sure many of you have heard about government contracting, but this is sort of my explanation and my experience and what I want you guys to learn, just a good short snippet. All right, so you guys are food entrepreneurs, right? So you're going to feed the future, right? Specifically with feeding the future with the government, there's a lot of different offices, spaces that will definitely love your food. All right, so as Ms. Paisley just mentioned, my experience includes government procurement, economic development, technology, project management, and legislative affairs. So I've done a little bit of everything in government. So this is what led me here and to be in front of you guys. All right, so why government contracting? Well, it's just more than burgers on a base. There's all type of foods that the government does buy. So again, we talked about some of the places that would be interested in some of your food. That would be schools, you got hospitals, bases, parks, and other entities on government facilities. The good thing about government contracting is, and I know you guys have experienced this, you're gonna get paid. Right? I know you guys got customers, you're chasing them down, like, hey, where's my money? You may even showed up at some people's doors, you know, with, I don't know, something, but whatever, I ain't gonna talk about that. But either which way with the government, they're gonna pay you. All right, so that's good. The revenue is consistent, and then also in the same token, depending on, again, whatever installation that you sell your product to, it could be large in volume. For instance, like a military base, right? You got all the soldiers, women and men, they're gonna be eating a lot, so that's a good volume client. Another good thing is you're supporting your community as well. That's really important too as far as public health, right? We wanna, you know, try to keep our soldiers and our government personnel healthy as possible, right? And a nice little sweet tooth helps, you know, here and there as well. All right, so navigating the process. Government contracting can be very intimidating because it's a lot of paperwork. And the reason being is because it's taxpayer money, all of our money, so it has to be regulated. It can't be like delivering a pizza, right? You call Domino's, hey, bring my pizza, here's your money, here's your receipt. It doesn't work like that. So there's a lot of rules and regulations that have to be followed. So either A, you can get direct procurement through an agency, or you can go on websites like sam.gov, which is for the federal, or you can also work with your county, your state, or local agencies as well. And excuse me. Or here's another one I really, really like, subcontracting. A lot of us, when we first start with government, we don't have like a record per se. They don't really know you. So as a contract officer, because they don't really know you, they're very risk averse, so they don't know if you can do a good job or not. But if you find a prime, meaning a big company or just a company that has more experience, you're gonna have to convince them as well that you're responsible and you can deliver. But that could be a good way for you to get in, get under them, and then they can teach you the ropes and build you up. But when you approach these primes, you have to know the language of government, as well as you have to bring them value, meaning who have you worked with? How are you going to solve their problem? Because their reputation is on the line as well. When they won the government contract, they may have had relationships with a specific agency for years and years out, which was very hard to do. So you have to show some value for them to want to be able to work with them. So besides, again, when you're working within government, there's a few things that you can provide. You got products, whether you're desserts, whether you're sandwiches, and then another big one is catering. There's always meetings and trainings going on in government, so that's a really good niche as well for you to go after. All right. Now here is the part when we talk about the regulations again. So I remember a time when I worked for a small business going after federal work, and we were trying to get a sandwich contract. So when you work with the government, depending on the contract and what agency you work with, they're going to want to come and inspect your kitchen. They're going to make sure that all the county and city and all the regulations are up to par, because they don't want nobody to be feeding their soldiers and government personnel, food that is not up to date or fresh. So you have to be prepared for that. So when you're dealing with the government, again, whether it's state, city, federal, or local, the regulations have to be followed. So that includes all of your certifications, bonding, depending on the size of the contract. You want to make sure that you have some bonding in place. And again, always go back to looking at the regulations to see exactly you're following them to the T. Because again, you're dealing with government. When they say dot your I's and cross your T's, they really mean that. All right. You're probably wondering, how do I find these opportunities? Okay. So on the federal level, there's sam.gov. That's the main one. For state of Georgia, you can go to the state of Georgia's procurement website. You can go to Fulton counties. You can go to Cobb County. You can go to any county in the state. And then also, you go to City of Atlanta as well. That's another thing. So there's plenty of cities and states and counties to choose from in Georgia. It's plenty. Federal government is not the only government entity that's buying. There's a lot of opportunity on that local and state level. Okay? Here's another big thing, networking. Everybody in this room, I know you guys may look at each other like, hey, that's my competitor, this and that and the sort. No. Everybody in here can be an ally to each other, some way or somehow. You guys are the most important network in this room. Somebody can help somebody with something, because government contracting is a relationship business. If you don't have relationships with the right people, and then the right people to trust you, then the doors might not just open. So always remember that. It's all about the relationships, okay? FPDS, that's a really critical website. Has anyone ever heard of FPDS? Okay, so that website is important because part of government contracting, you have to be strategic. You don't got time to waste. You're running your other side of the business. So when you're going after government, you have to be so strategic to a point of what agency am I selling to? But not just I want to sell to the Department of Defense or the Army, what office within that agency? There's a lot of different offices within those agencies, small offices that you will not believe that are spending a lot of money. So you have to do your research to see who's buying what I'm selling, how much of it are they buying, and who are these people? So networking is also key to that because you go on their websites and go to their industry days. They'll send representatives out to different events. It's your responsibility to go out and talk with them. Shake your hand. Hey, I'm Erica. I'm Cher. This is what I do. Primes will also be at that event, so be prepared to talk with them too. Remember, primes can get you in the game. You may start out as the little brother or little sister, but then eventually you're going to be big brother and big sister. But you got to know what you're doing because the government's not going to work with you if you don't know what you're doing. Because their job is on the line too. Because they got deadlines and expectations they have to meet. All right. You guys did great today. You're at a training workshop session, so you're almost there. But you got to keep pushing the envelope with this. It's not an overnight thing. You know, I'm not gonna be honest with you. It's a long game. It's not overnight. It's nothing quick. It's not order the pizza, drop the pizza off, here's the money. It's not. It's a lot of knocking at the door, a lot of no's. Everybody here has been in sales. That's the truth of the matter. It takes time. I know a lot of people that it took them some time to win, but they making big money now. They put that investment in. All right. The proposal part. This is the most important thing. Now, I remember as a contract officer, many people made it all the way up to the 1 yard line. One document. You missed the cut. Nothing I can do about it. It's not fair to the next person who followed all the directions. You plead with me, you saying you're gonna protest. Hey, I tried, you know, it's already been up to the big guy. He already signed off. He checked me to make sure that I was doing my job. So there's nothing you can do about it. So the most important thing is when you read, this is a reading and writing game. It really is. So when you read in these RFPs, RFQs, make sure you are following everything they say to do. If they say send me a pink envelope, send them a pink one. Do not send a green one because they're looking for a reason to be like, look. All right. So just follow all the RFPs, highlight your experience. Most importantly, highlight the solution that you have to their problem. They're going to tell you the problem. How are you going to creatively fix it for them? That's what they want to see in an RFP. And make sure your pricing is correct. That's another thing. Know your numbers. Because once you give them that price and they say, yeah, we'll do it, don't tell them, hey, I missed the taxes and all that stuff. They don't care. They're going to the next person. That's it.
William, what's an RFP?
Request for proposal. All right. Now we talk about the contract management part. You happily got a contract. Now you got to execute it. Meaning you got the team in place. You got the money in place. Because keep in mind, you're not going to get paid for 30 days, right? That's if you invoice it correctly. We're talking about on a federal level. And see, here's another thing that I've learned. Government contracting is kind of self-taught. Don't go to the contract officer hoping they're going to teach you how to work with them. Then they're not going to trust you on the next project. So before you really get into this game, learn the language. Read, learn the language, go to events before you even get to a prime. Know what you're talking about. This is a small industry, very small. So it's really important that you maintain your standards because that's the easy part, the cooking, right? And the baking. The hard part is communicating with them. Because a lot of times contract officers, they so busy, they got about 10 other things they're doing. Mm-hmm. So you ain't gonna get them on the phone. So they're expecting you to figure out how to build, expecting you to deliver what you said you can do. And again, that relationship piece, I cannot copy that enough to say have good relationships, because that's what's going to get you through.
Quick question for you. For the contractor, contract piece, is there an association where you can like either join or go to their different events for, government contractors?
Good question. There is a organization that I've been a part of. I'm still a part of it, and I attend. It's called NCMA. N is in Nancy, C is in Charlie, M is in Mary, A. NCMA Atlanta. That's a great organization because there are primes that are in that group, and there are also real live federal contractors that are amongst that group as well. So that's a great place to start. All right, we get into the end. So again, research. Research is so critical. So that way you know exactly who you're going after, what they're buying, and you know that to the T. Seek mentorship. Hey, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need some help, or just sit back and listen and learn. There's plenty of YouTube videos. There's Apex. We're here to help you. So there's plenty of resources so that you can understand how to win. So we'll put the ball in your hand, but you have to run with it. And again, most importantly, network and build those relationships. And she asked a great question. Get around other government contractors and other contract officers, and you'll learn what you need. Here's my contact information. Hey, I'm always open to speak with any of you. I understand what you guys are going through. Government contracting is very rewarding. A lot of hard work, but it's there for you. That's it.
Thank you, William. So now after you've gotten that $1 million contract and the government tells you it's time to go, well, where do you get the money? To ramp up and get started and make sure that you deliver your products or services on time. So next we have Earl Camp. Earl Camp serves as Vice President of Now Corp. He is responsible for leading Now's channel partnership strategy. Prior to joining Now, he had several positions in Purchasing Power, Harbor Payments, Assurant, KeyBank, and Morgan Stanley. Earl holds a Bachelor of Arts in Finance from Morehouse College. He also studied at the American University of Paris and participated in the Corporate Strategy Executive Program at the Kellogg Graduate School of Management. So Earl will tell you more about what Now does and how their company can potentially help you once you've gotten that big contract or a small contract.
Thanks, Jennifer. Good afternoon, everybody. As Jennifer said, I'm with Now Corporation. Now is based here in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been around since 2010. Since that time, we've funded nearly 1,000 businesses and provided nearly $1 billion in funding. We work with businesses in all 50 states. The company was founded by two amazing women who actually sat in the same seats that you sat in before. They started the company when they had a small bottled water business. They were selling into small retail outlets around Atlanta. They also were selling into the airport. Somebody from Whole Foods found out about their product and was so excited they called them up and said, look, we want to order a truckload of bottled water. As you can imagine, they looked at each other, they were excited, they high-fived each other, and then one of the ladies asked a representative from Whole Foods, said, well, look, that's awesome. All we need to do is take a credit card, we can send out the order or a down payment. And Whole Foods was like, no, you will not be doing that. We will place the order. We will pay you in 30 days, and let's get going. When they hung up the phone, they looked at each other like, okay, how are we going to do this? Reality set in. And this is what happens every day to businesses, not only in the food business, but any type of business. As William said, you get these great opportunities, And unfortunately, a lot of times, a lot of us don't know how we're either going to fund the opportunity on the front end, or even if you have the money to put together the product, how are you going to be able to sort of handle that gap between when you deliver and get paid? So Now was created very similar to, I don't know how many of you heard of factoring? So factoring essentially is a solution that was created hundreds of years ago. It was really created for the garment industry when companies were manufacturing clothes, selling it into large retailers, and the clothes would just sit there on the racks. And as you can imagine, the retailers were like, look, we're not taking a risk. We're going to hold your clothes. We'll pay you when we get some money. And as you can imagine, you're like, wait a minute, I've manufactured these clothes. You bought it from me. They're like, yeah, I bought it from you, but I'm really waiting for somebody to come here and buy it from us. So essentially, what we've created is a solution very similar to factoring, but there's some differences that we'll get into as you ask questions. But essentially, what we allow you to do is you to secure an opportunity when you receive that when you invoice your customer, ship out your product, instead of waiting 15, 30, 60, 90 days, or even 120 days, which is payment terms, believe it or not, by some large corporations, we accelerate that payment to you so you can get paid within 1 to 2 business days. What we try to do, though, is for a lot of the companies that come to us, they come to us after they get the opportunity. And it's just like you probably heard, don't talk to the bank after you want them to get to know somebody before you need them. And it's very similar with when you start looking at opportunities that you're bidding on, or if you're selling into a grocery store chain. We have clients that sell in the Kroger, Publix, Target, Walmart, KeHE, Unifi, large distributors. One thing I will tell you as well is that even when a business tell you they're going to pay you in 30 days, that doesn't mean you're going to get paid in 30 days, unfortunately. On average, our customers that have net 30 invoices get paid in 54 days. So, imagine, you're trying to take care of your employees, your suppliers, yourself. I know when I walk in the house at night, Mama's like, look, where's the money? She don't want to hear someone's going to pay us, in 30 days. It's just not the way it works. So, what I want to really talk to you about, though, is as you're looking at these opportunities, start to think about different options. And as Jennifer talked about, and Donna always talks about, you don't have to get debt to do this. There are products, there are solutions out there that are not like debt, that you can leverage your accounts receivables to be able to get paid faster. The other thing is, I will tell you, is before you start looking at those solutions, reach out to the Jennifers of the world. A free resource. You can call them up. If it's not them, it's the SBDC office, someone, and ask them about these solutions you see online. If you see something online where you can leverage your credit card receipts or something like that, you can get paid real quick. But then when you start reading the fine print, you start reading what the interest rates are, the penalties, the fact that they're going to start withdrawing money right out of your bank account daily against your credit card receipts. We get companies that come to us every day trying to, they need us to help them get out of those situations. So just be very, very, very careful when you do that. It's nothing to be ashamed of to ask for people for help when you start looking at these different opportunities. We have folks who have MBAs that come to us and say, look, I got 3 loans with 3 different merchant cash advances. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make payroll. And then we've got, the gentleman who just built this business from nothing, and he knows how to manage his cash flow. It's all about just taking your time, and it's really common sense at the end of the day. So look forward to answering your questions and really digging into, any questions that you have. And then I can tell you about not only what I do, but what's in the marketplace, because it's really not about NowCorp. It's about really the solution that's going to fit best for you.
Thank you, Earl. So at the Georgia MBDA Business Center, we have the opportunity to work with Apex Accelerator and Now on a very regular basis. And they are strong strategic alliances, and we would encourage you to take advantage of their services when the opportunity presents itself. The Georgia MBDA Business Center has 4 pillars. It's access to markets and opportunities, building capacity, access to resources and expertise, and securing capital. And so this is a great example of the types of partners that we can bring to the table to help you scale your business, not only domestically and locally, but internationally as well. So with that,
Georgia MBA?
MBDA, Georgia MBDA Business Center. So with that being said, we'll go into our first 2 questions, and that will be for Earl. I'm sorry, that will be for William. So William, how long does it normally take to win a government contract?
Great question. You know, that there's not a one-size-fit-all answer for that. The business I worked for, we sent out about 20 proposals, and it took us about almost a year to win, something like that. So it's a numbers game. It's timing. It's, you know, there has to be a need there. One thing we figured out was we like to go for stuff where there was no incumbent. I know that's not a popular strategy for some people, but, you know, we did our data and we was like, hey, we won all this stuff and there wasn't no incumbent. So depending on who you're going against in the ring, it's just some people like, you're just not going to win no matter what you do. But then you have to, again, do your research, kind of see who you're going against. And again, FPDS tells you all that stuff to figure out exactly who you're going up against. What can you offer differently? Is it feasible for you even to offer a cheaper price? You know, so you have to do your data analytics, your research to see is that even worth your time? That's another thing. Look at the contract, see what the government is offering, see what the price was last time as best as you can, and they're like, hey, I want to go for that, or I don't. So it's not a one-size-fit-all answer for that.
Another component is, I'm a veteran-owned business, so you can go directly to the source and apply. And, I mean, I'm not a contractor, but I have a lot of events and stuff on the base because I'm a veteran-owned business. And sometimes that's all they look at, is just if you're a veteran-owned business.
Sorry to interrupt. We'll need to talk into the mic for the video. Can you repeat your question real quick?
It was a statement. What I was saying was, I don't have a contract, but I am a veteran-owned business, and so I go on the base and do several different catering events. And I'm aspiring to be a contract, used to be as a contract, but right now I just go on the base, and it was based out of me being that veteran-owned business, and I just applied through application.
And next question, William, is what is the difference between contracting on a state, federal, or local level?
Good question. Well, the local level, state level, obviously is not as a big a customer as far as one centralized customer as far as the federal government. With the federal government, there are set-asides, women-owned, veteran-owned. Each state is different, so they don't necessarily have those particular set-asides. There are certifications. I know, City of Atlanta has their different certifications. The goals are different, and they also, what I love about federal is that forecast list.
Yeah.
See, with that forecast list, you can see what's kind of coming out, and then you can start picking that off early before, they say the early bird get the worm. You can start picking it off early, start reaching out to them, say, hey, I'm interested in this opportunity. Can we do a capabilities briefing, et cetera, however you would like to market to them. So that's what I like about the federal government. It's a little bit more centralized and streamlined as opposed to the local side. But on the local side, it's smaller. You can get to people easier. So there's good and bad to both, but it's all the same, right? The red tape and, having to convince, the government people, hey, I can do this well. I can deliver it to you at this price, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome, thank you. And Earl and William, I'd like for you to think about a recent success story, one within the past 6 months. Next two questions will be for Earl. So Earl, what is the difference between factoring and Now Account?
Okay, great question. So a couple things, and I highlighted a couple of them when I was chatting earlier, but one of the big differences between factoring and what we do is that there's no personal guarantee. So don't know if you're familiar with what a personal guarantee is, but essentially you're personally guaranteed if you're taking a loan or something like that, it's on you, meaning that if something goes sideways or for whatever reason, then you'll be personally impacted financially. With us, when you get a Now account, it really is based on your business and the accounts receivables associated with the business. Our product is called non-recourse versus recourse. So meaning that I'll give you a live example. We had a company that was providing a product to GNC during COVID. They had gotten a large order. When they came to us, we checked with our funding source to let them know that, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to buy those invoices because it appears that GNC has started paying some of their vendors severely late. We really tried to advise them that, look, if you're gonna go into business with GNC, you may want to take a deposit up front, in which you know what GNC told them to do with the deposit, or you may not want to do it at all. Unfortunately, they decided to move forward. They fulfilled the order. About 6 weeks later, GNC filed for bankruptcy. And once that happens, in that case, that's, if you're the small business, you're really at the mercy of that large customer. We've had clients that we were able to purchase their invoices where either the company is gotten acquired, went bankrupt, or just decided not to pay. We take on the risk at that point. So as you can imagine, being a small business, if you've got a partner that can do that, then that really takes a load off of you. So the other is with traditional factoring is that when you engage with a factor, they come to you and they say, okay, great. You sell pickles, you've got 10 customers. If you want to use us, you got to put all of your invoices through all 10 customers. When you work with us, we're like, look, you pick out the customers you want to work with. Those, if we can get them approved, then we'll buy those invoices based upon those customers. What we try to tell our clients is that, look, why don't you pick out the customers has either the largest orders, or if they're severely paying late, leverage us because now you can get paid early on those late payers. So we give a little bit more flexibility than a traditional factoring. And then lastly is the fact that when you work with us, you're not borrowing against your accounts receivable. We're essentially buying your accounts receivable. So you're not incurring any debt. And so when you don't incur any debt, when it is time to go get that big loan, if you're doing an acquisition or something else you need to do, capital improvement, when you go to a bank and they see you're working with us, that's a lot different than them seeing that you are working with a factor and they have a lien against all your accounts receivables and things like that. So a lot of times banks aren't comfortable working with traditional factors. We work with banks all day, every day. So yeah.
What percentage are you purchasing the accounts receivable at? What percentage are you purchasing their accounts receivables at?
Great question. So another big difference between us and most factors. With us, you typically receive 97 cents or a little bit less on the dollar for your invoice. Depending on who your customer is, if you're selling to a government entity, then that's all it is. If you're selling into a retail outlet, we have what's called a holdback. Now, the holdback is basically there so that if you're selling into Kroger, and we have a client that sells syrup in the Kroger. You may not notice, but when you sell to Kroger or a large retail entity, they may take discounts against your product for marketing, for quote unquote breakage, those type of things. So we will hold back 15% until they make the payment. if there's no discounts or anything taken, then we then release that money to you. We only hold that money there just in case there's a difference between the actual invoice that you bill your retail customer and what actually comes in. That way you don't have to go back and forth and say, well, wait a minute, there's breakage, what's the breakage? It can get very taxing when you go back and forth. But that's only if you have retail customers. If you're selling into the Atlanta public schools, you're providing lunches and things, that doesn't even come into place. But that holdback gets released once the money comes in from your customer. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Quick question. How does the factoring or the now account makes money? Because you're a business, so how do you make money?
So the percentage points that we charge is really based on the payment terms. So for net 15 invoices, we charge 3%, net 30, 3.5%, net 40, and it goes up a half a percentage point from there. So for instance, if you have a $10,000 invoice with Whole Foods, what we do is we then deduct, for simple math, the 3.5%. When the money comes in, we send you $96.50. When Whole Food makes the payment, we actually receive $10,000. That's when we get our 3.5%. To get even a little bit more into the sauce, out of that 3.5%, we then obviously take care of Earl and everybody else at Now, but then we pay our trade credit insurance partner who insures all of the invoices that we buy. So we use trade credit insurance to insure and to take care of the risk. So if Kroger or somebody goes out of business, we don't come back to you and say, hey, we didn't get paid by your customer, you owe us. And so trade credit insurance is used by really big manufacturing companies. Small businesses typically don't buy trade credit insurance because it's very expensive. So that's baked in our pricing as well. And that's essentially how we make money.
Make myself easier. What type of companies, industries?
Jennifer was asking, she was asking what types of companies we work with. So good thing about this room, obviously we work with companies like you. Right now, the only companies we really exclude from working, do not work with right now are construction companies and logistics companies. So really anybody outside of that, we will definitely have a conversation and look at the business and see whether or not we'll be able to help them.
Okay.
That does include nonprofits.
That was kind of similar to my questions. What were your eligibility requirements to be able to work with your company?
Yes, ma'am. So at a high level, the way the process works is that we have an online application. What we look for is what's called a Small Business Financial Exchange Score. That score is based upon your banking relationship that you may have with your bank. That score is generated by about 300 different financial services companies around the United States and some other companies. They feed data into the Small Business Financial Exchange. We look at that score. Based on that score, we can let you know pretty quickly if we'll be able to move forward. Typically, when someone applies, there's three things that happen. One is that you may not meet the minimum score. If you don't, we let you know that, and we talk to you and coach you on how you can improve that score. The other is that obviously you do have a high enough score, and then we move on from there. And then lastly, you don't have a score at all. And that can happen for numerous reasons. That can be the business is brand new. There is no score. It's like a baby. They don't have a credit score. Or you could not be engaging with a bank that's feeding into the Small Business Financial Exchange. So, we can help you around how to either improve your score or even get a score at all and generate a positive score. And then from there's some other factors we look at, whether or not there's any outstanding tax liens against the business or you the owner. And then, of course, as other financial service providers, we will look at financials and those type of things. But those requirements typically aren't as rigorous as if you're going out to secure a loan, because what we're really looking at is the accounts receivables associated with the business and then also your customers. So that's, at the end of the day, that's really what we're looking at.
Thank you. And so next question, William, so what is the service delivery area for your Apex Accelerator program?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, it will be Atlanta Metropolitan.
Okay, so that, okay. So does your center serve other areas? I mean, I
We
know that
have-
you're based in Atlanta.
Yes, I'm based in Atlanta, but we do have counselors all over. So we do have counselors that do service Cobb and other parts.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Jennifer White, I'm the senior counselor at Apex Accelerator, so we are a statewide organization.
Hold on just a second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Wendy, I was halfway. This is very important, because we don't want everybody calling Atlanta. Okay, it's only me and William, so yeah, no, we don't want everybody calling Atlanta. So we're a statewide organization, right? So we have centers as north as Gainesville and as south as Savannah and Warner Robins, right? So to continue the conversation, what I encourage everyone to do is go to gtpac.org. That's George, Thomas, Peter, Anthony, and their cousin. Get it? GTPAC. gtpac.org. You're going to click on the new client application, and then the system will do the rest. You will be routed to the closest center for that address. So it's like 11 centers, and I think it's about 12 of us at 11 centers. So everyone, don't call Atlanta. Thanks, Jennifer. GTPAC. G-T-P-A. Yeah. See, I thought you was gonna say it back to me. That's all. You're welcome.
Thank you, Wendy. And that was not to put William on the spot, as he said. He just joined the center, and so he's totally focused on Atlanta.
Shout out to Apex everywhere.
Right. And yes, there is an Apex Accelerator program in every state. And Earl, how about you?
All 50 states. We help our clients if they have invoices anywhere in the United States, and even if they have international customers as well.
That's very important, because as we help companies scale domestically and internationally, we have to have partners that have that reach, so that we reach out to the Apex Accelerator in Georgia, but we're working with our clients in Florida. We have Mike and Mike Desserts here who joined us from Florida today. We can reach out to the Apex Accelerator there, and vice versa. They reach out to us as well. So do we have any questions from the audience?
Sir, you had something earlier. I didn't mean to skip over you.
So it was to the application process, and probably if we were your client, then y'all would be walking us through this. But you were like, you don't want to get it wrong, but you don't want to reach out to them and ask questions and get help, you know? And so we ran into that when we were trying to fulfill a USDA grant, and it was like 63 pages, and we weren't sure where we fit on a question, you know? And so we just made our best guess, and we guessed wrong, right? And so, you know, it was like a lot of work, and she cried a little, you know? And so, you know, what do we do? You know, if we're not supposed to reach out to them and we don't want to get it wrong, what do we do?
Well, that's why we're here, Apex. Yeah.
You said it great.
Well, it was a similar process, because we were working with the federal government, and so we were kind of dealing with the same kind of structure that he was describing with
No.
the requests.
I totally get what you're saying. I just wanted to be very specific. So at Apex, because William is going to have everyone asking us everything. So at Apex, we don't provide grant assistance in that way. The Small Business Development Center does, and then they will take, or at least they're supposed to take the time out to walk you through the grant to make sure you're doing it correctly. But if you have a government contract, call William, and he's going to sit there and he's going to walk you through the entire process. He's going to define it for you, Or if you would like to sign up for one of our free webinars, you can go to our website. We have a class called RFP The Basics, and that's where Susan will walk you through the different sections of an RFP, which is a request for proposal. And I think you asked that question earlier. So the government will issue different types of solicitations in order to procure a good or a service. A RFP is one of those, and an RFQ is another one, which is a request for quote. So just to kind of provide a little more clarity there. But yeah.
There's another organization, Texas Tech Extension. They're doing a series of free, here's how you do grants, especially USDA grants. So if you need that information, I can send that to you.
And we have a recent success story with Apex Accelerator. One of our clients joined the center a couple of months ago. She found out about an opportunity at Georgia Tech and reached out to us. It was an RFP, I believe, a request for proposal. Apex Accelerator assigned a counselor to her business. The business applied to the response, and within 30 days, she was notified that her company received a $600,000 award. This is the type of work that Apex Accelerator does, and the counselor helped her through the process the entire way. So please do not be intimidated by a 63-page RFP, because we have people here to help you through that process. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a list on any of the websites that you've provided us with that may break down the different industries or something, so that, like, for example, I was wondering, okay, what business was that she applied for that grant and received that amount? So I was wondering, is there something like a list so that we can know which one is appropriate for us to apply for, if it's not on a list at all?
So there's not a list that is necessarily by industry, but what you can do is do a search. So if you go to like grants.gov, for instance, the federal government, you can actually search for if you're a food entrepreneur or if you're in the arts arena. And the company that we helped was actually an arts company. Yeah. And that was major for her company.
Jennifer, there is an opportunity to search by industry on grants.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Right.
But there are, you can search using those.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. Hey, do we have any other questions? Well, Wendy and Brandy, thank you for having us today. Earl and William, thank you for being a part of our panel. Really appreciate it.